Hey everybody, and welcome to session 44.1 of my N5 series on the SP404 mk2. And I actually been getting a bunch of questions from folks about kind of the layout and how to load, save, import, export, backup, restore stuff. So I figured I'll just start breaking this down and do a few videos on that. The first thing is, let's start with the SD card. So over here, you can get yourself an SD card, and it has to be either a regular SD card or SDHC. I'll get this up to the camera. Hopefully it'll zoom in enough or focus. Maybe it's not. But you can get up to 32 gigabytes on your SD card. Anything that's larger than that will be an SDXC, or if they come out with a new variant above that. And the SP404 mk2 can only handle up to a 32 gig card. So if you get a 4 megabyte card, that should work fine. You'll want to make sure it's formatted. I believe FAT32 is the correct format, although I'd say check the manual for that. I formatted this one a long time ago, but with that set up correctly on your SD card, you should be able to put it into your computer. You can copy folders and directories around, and this will allow you to back up any samples you want to save onto your SD card, and it will let you import samples that are properly formatted. So personally, I usually go for 16-bit and either 44.1 kilohertz or 48 kilohertz. The SP404 mk2 loads those fine. It can do some other variants. I think I've seen it do like MP3s and stuff natively, but otherwise you're going to really want to use the app to load content in. So let's say you get the SD card. We'll just go through the steps. I know I've done this a couple times before, but we'll just have a video on doing a import. So let's say we want to import a sample from the SD card. You want to hold shift down and hit pad 14. It will bring you up the import export menu. We can do import from SD card. You'll want to say sample. And personally, I have set up some different directories here. You can see here, I've got this Mono Deluxe Lo-Fi House. It's just a sample pack. Probably should have made like a samples folder to help organize it a little bit better, but that's the only thing I loaded up on here on this SD card. And you can see it's got Rex files, which are a different format that the Mark II cannot load. The sample patches are going to be things for like Contact, Native Instruments Contact, or other things. Can't load those. So, I could have cleaned up these directories. The important one is we've got sounds and effects, which it's got all these .wav files, and I can hit the subpad to trigger them and just scroll through. So you can see like you can just preview whatever you want by hitting the subpad button that's blinking here. And then the pad 7's blinking because that's telling me that that's a free slot to load into. I could go to, instead of bank A, I could go to bank F, and you can see I've got more pads I can load into. So just depends on what you kind of have loaded up and where you have free slots. But you can kind of look around. It's just as easy as once you pick the pad that you, and you can load over things that are already there. Like I can hit 1 and you can see it turned red. It's telling me that it's going to overwrite whatever's there. But if I just want to load into pad 7 because it's free off of bank A, all I have to do is just push in the enter key and it'll load it. So now I've got it, and it's going red again because it's telling me I can put a pad. It's letting me preview what's on the pad that I just loaded. And if I want to put something else, it's as easy as just hit the pad, hit enter. It's asking, do I want to overwrite it? I can say, okay. Now we've got the new pad. So you can kind of sample things in, test it. You can load pretty quickly off of the SD card. Again, just make sure it's 44.1 kilohertz or 48 kilohertz at 16-bit. Should load no problem. I'm pretty sure it can do 24-bit. I'm not so sure about 32-bit, but again, read the manual, check the specs, and if you need to do anything exotic, use either the software or, you can look into getting some, there are pieces of software you can get that will allow you to transform different types of data and file formats into that 44.1 and 48 kilohertz. Anyway, I hope this kind of helped walk through just importing a sample and using it through an SD card. And the next piece that you might want to do after that is, let's say you want to export a sample because you've recorded a loop or something that you want. You're going to want to hold Shift, hit pad 14. It's going to bring up your import export menu. And this time you want to do export to SD card. Again, we're going to say sample, and it's linking everything that is a valid target to export. We can hit 7. I mean, you can do multiples. You can do as much as you want, but we'll just do 7. I know it's a short sample, and we don't need to do a whole bunch. What it's going to do is, it just went really quick. But the thing to note, say I want to re-import that, we go Shift, pad 14 again, to get the import export menu, go import, sample, and now we've got this export folder, which has sample underneath it, and bank A is mapped to 1, and pad 7 would be this one. And you can see that it actually named it appropriately because it knew what the name was from importing it. Otherwise, it would have had this 1-07 new sample because it didn't know what the sample name was. So that's something I exported a while ago, and it would have overwritten it had I not had a valid name. But instead, you can hear that pad has you can see it has the name. Now, if you want to check the name for what it's going to export as, you can hold remain and it'll flash the pad that you're on. And you can see in this case, name LFF_A_lounge_sign. If we go to pad 1 and then hold remain, you can see it says name new sample. Now, unfortunately, Roland hasn't given us the ability to come in here and name stuff. It'd be kind of cool if you could hit the encoder and kind of scroll through and do some stuff, but you're going to have to use the software if you want to name things, unfortunately. So that handles sample importing and exporting, and hopefully that helps you guys out. Anyway, keep making music. If it sounds good, it is good, and peace.